Lumina and Tria are fleeing through the forest. Tria knocks Lumina out of the way of a trap worm, but gets devoured. Their pursuer, Gewalt, appears and mocks her, then summons a beast mushroom that uses its tentacles to strip and molest her. She prays to God for help, and he laughs and says her prayers are useless. But she glows with energy. Then Diablo abruptly falls out of the sky and crushes the mushroom. A few minutes ago, Diablo, Rem, and Shira were exploring when he decided to test a new spell. He makes a log levitate and rides it into the sky like a surfboard. As Rem and Shira are amazed, he notices the energy emitted by Lumina and rides over to investigate. His spell wears off, causing him to fall out of the sky and land on the beast mushroom. While he recovers, Gewalt yells at him for killing his creature. While Lumina believes he is God who has come to save her because of her prayers, then freaks out because she is in a state of undress. He covers her with his cape and tries to explain that he is not God, but she insists that he is while Gewalt says he is just a demon. Diablo asks why a paladin is attacking a girl and Gewalt says he doesn't know nor care. He's just following Visho's orders. Gewalt summons a hunter worm, then has his trap worm ambush them by creating a pit where they would fall into its jaws. Diablo catches Lumina and leaps out in time, then slays it with the spell Arrow Shredder. Gewalt is amazed, but thinks the effort of doing that would weaken Diablo. Diablo says he can use spells multiple times, but Gewalt calls him a liar and summons several creatures. Diablo casts Cross Blizzard to encase Gewalt and his creatures in ice. Lumina praises God for his victory, then passes out due to the extreme cold. As he holds her, Rem and Shrera arrive and become jealous, while he says it is not what it looks like and to help him. As they leave, an enraged Gewalt starts breaking free of the ice while the trap worm's body shatters, exposing an unconscious Tria. At the Peace of Mind Inn, Lumina, now in a nightgown, asks Rem and Shira about their relationship with God. Shira starts to explain that Diablo is their master, but Rem shuts her up and says Diablo is the leader of their adventuring group. Lumina says he must be God, because if he isn't, then they must get married because he saw her bare skin. In another room, Diablo tells Clem and Edelgard to remain hidden until they learn who Lumina really is. They hear Rem and Shira yelling in jealousy about the marriage comment and he enters the room. Lumina asks if he is God, deciding it would be a bad idea to admit he is a demon lord. He says must keep his true identity hidden, convincing her that he is God, but she agrees to call him Diablo. Kneeling before him, he asks who she is. She starts to glow intensely, surprising them, as she says she is just a woman who respects God, but she is the head priest of the church. The Cardinal Vishos ordered her eliminated for investigating embezzlement and other corrupt activities in the church. She mourns Tria, thinking she is dead, and explains she was planning to go to Zircon Tower to reach Batuta, a paladin she believes is not corrupted. Diablo remembers his old dungeon from Cross Reverie is located there. Rem and Shira decide to help her and ask him for permission. Diablo wants to avoid conflict with the church, but decides to help her. Clem and Edelgard enter the room, with Clem demanding more biscuits. Lumina and Clem immediately become hostile as they can sense each other's holy and demonic energies. Edelgard tries to attack Machina, but Diablo stops her and orders them to cease hostilities. The next day, they leave Clem and Edelgard in care of May, Sylvie, Celestine, and Emile. As Diablo, Rem, Shira, and Lumina prepare to leave, Clem gives them a parting gift by supercharging Shira's bow with her dark magic. Rem told her that their priority is to escort Lumina safely to Batuta. She also told her to bear it since she is an elf, but they are surprised that the city is not lively. Everyone in the city is sad and weak, and they look like people who are starving. A lady confronts Lumina asking her to heal her child. Diablo bumps with a boy who asks him if he is an adventurer. He asks the kid what he wants, and the kid asks him if he is interested in taking over the dungeon that was recently discovered. The kid also told Diablo that he could introduce him to a dungeon guide and a master lockpicker. He reveals that these horns are the answer to everything. Diablo asks the kid what kind of dungeon it is. The kid replies that it is incredible. Right from the entrance, there are lion statues that attack you right at the gate. Diablo thinks that he knows the dungeon that the boy is talking about. He asks him if the dungeon has 13th floors, and the boy reveals that no one has not been able to pass the 3rd floor. They are now also aware that there is more floors since they are stuck on the 3rd floor. Diablo asks the boy if there is a different colored slime on the 3rd floor that they have to defeat. The kid agrees and reveals that there were a lot of different colored slimes wandering around there. Diablo comments that he knew it. It is his dungeon. The kid asks Diablo who he is. Diablo wanted to say that he is the Demon King, but he heard a voice of a lady saying something. Diablo looks behind, wondering what is happening. He realizes that the trio is in trouble again. They are scolding a knight who is refusing to help a lady that is injured. The knight is the only one who has the power to heal the child of a lady. She begs him to help the child, and the knight comments that if they need aid or priest, they must in line and pay the donation. Diablo heard everything and wonders what kind of man is that knight. He got furious since the knight is letting his nation die because they are poor and have no money. The kid comments the knight is Paladin Brigade. Diablo asks the boy what he is trying to say. The boy reveals that the knight is the subordinate of the paladins and soldiers of the church. He also reveals that the paladins are violent men. Diablo realizes that they came here looking for head paladin Batutas's aid, but it won't work since his men are like that. Lamakia told the knight that it is written in the holy scripts for the civilians to be helped by knights. The knight got furious and wanted to smack Lamakia, but Diablo sent him flying with a single blow. Diablo defeats the priest when he gets violent and Lumikina heals the child. A monstrous sand whale attacks the city and Diablo tries to fight it, but requires the help of Batuta and the city's leader, Phanis Laminitus, to drive it away. Batuta apologizes for his subordinates' behavior, but Phanis heavily taxed the church, making them desperate for funds. Phanis says God is not real and the church are just swindlers. She tries to shoot Lumikina, and when Batuta blocks it, she says that since God did not stop her, that proves he is not real, then leaves. Lumikina is appalled that many people have death knell and are denied healing due to lacking money, but Batuta says they must be pragmatic. Batuta takes the group to his mansion and serves them food. While Diablo and Shira bathe, Batuta and his maid meet Rem and Lumikina for a discussion. Just as Lumikina deduces that death knell is actually a curse, not a disease. She and Rem are drugged and abducted by Batuta and his maid, Shirlu. Horn spied on them and warns Diablo and Shira. Lumikina and Rem wake up tied to crosses in an underground altar where an orgy takes place to extract the evil essence this releases to produce death knell. Batuta reveals that he has experienced no tragedy and has no excuse for his actions other than he enjoys being evil. His plan is to corrupt Lumikina with lust so he can make a death knell powerful enough to assassinate Phanis. Diablo, Shira, and Horn arrive before Shirlu can sexually torment her. Diablo and Batuta battle with Diablo at a disadvantage because using his power risks triggering a cave-in. Diablo is impaled, but survives and takes off Batuta's arm. Shirlu threatens Rem, but Shira shoots her with an arrow that turns her to stone, while Horn unties the girls. Batuta declares they have already lost and makes a final attack that Diablo counters and Batuta is apparently killed, but this triggers a cave-in. They escape, but discover Lumikina has death knell. As she cannot heal herself, Diablo says they must enter the dungeon, as he had stored an item that can heal. Meanwhile, the fallen Veracnus attacks Phanis in her bath and warns her that his army will attack Zircon Tower City soon and then he will force her to join his harem before leaving. The group is intercepted by Phanis' fleet, as she believes Diablo is working with Veracnus. They explain their plan to retrieve an item from the dungeon that can cure everyone of death knell, but she doesn't believe them and orders them arrested. They escape when Diablo triggers an earthquake. Gewalt arrives and offers Phanis his services, learning of the dungeon. 4 days later, the group arrives at the dungeon deep in the desert, but Lumikina does not have long before the death knell will kill her. Diablo conceals the fact that he built the dungeon. After defeating the guardian at the entrance, they encounter a labyrinth. Horn had prepared a map, but it is useless because the walls shift over time, so Diablo simply blasts through the walls. After battling monsters, they are suspended in a basket over a river of lava and must answer trivia questions to pass, which they achieve. To pass another level, they must entertain an army of ape-like white Jaegers with a song and dance routine. On another level, they must move along a narrow ledge above a raging river. Gewalt ambushes them and nearly kills Lumikina, but Horn tackles him and they both fall in the river. Diablo tells the others to keep moving and jumps into the river to save Horn. Demon King Diablo manages to pull Horn off the river. He lights the fire to warm Horn since they are both drenched. Diablo realizes that they are all men and nothing to be ashamed of if he undresses Horn to warm him. He took off Horn's clothes, but he is surprised when he took off Horn's pants, and he can't find Horn's carrot. Diablo wonders what kind of boy Horn is since he can't find the carrot and wonders where it has gone to. When he goes deep, he finds that Horn is a girl and jumps away while screaming. Horn wakes up wondering what Diablo is doing. She thought that Diablo wanted to taste the cook, but Diablo explains why. Horn reveals that she is a girl who dresses like a boy. She reveals that girls are taken for granted in her kingdom, and she wanted to prove that girls are also strong like boys. Diablo gives her his coat to cover her body, and they decided to find the girls before Gewalt finds them. Meanwhile, Rem, Shiro, and Lumikina have arrived at the most challenging floor of the dungeon. To their surprise, Gewalt arrives, and they wonder how since he got lost inside the river. Gewalt told them that their time is up and Demon King Diablo will come and find their dead bodies. But a black dragon arrives and draws Gewalt's attention away. The dragon manages to injure Lumikina, but Gewalt uses his healing power to heal Lumikina. He fights with the dragon using the fire spirit called Ifrit. He attacks with ultimate fire that blasts the dragon, but it was not enough, and he ends up getting injured. The dragon tries to flee, but the maid golem Rose arrives and kills it for running away from the battle. She comments that the dragon is a coward for trying to escape from the war. Diablo arrives, and Rose considers him as her master while in the treasure room. When they arrive inside the treasure room, Lumikina finds a white ox statue that she touched, and the death knell disappears. Rose offered them new clothes and told them about Verignis's army that is attacking Zircon Tower City. Zircon Tower City's defenders are no match for Verignis' army except for Faunis. Verignis and his wives, a mermaid, a harpy, and a dragon-like banshee appear and attempt to force Faunis to marry him. Faunis shoots him through the heart, but the mermaid heals him. The harpy becomes jealous and attempts to kill Faunis. Diablo takes offense to Verignis saying he is working for a demon lord, so his group, including Rose, teleport back in time to save Faunis. Diablo, Shiro, Rem, and Rose battle the army while Lumikina heals the injured with Horn assisting her. Diablo is enraged when he sees Verignis flaunting his wives as it reminds him of how he was unable to get a girlfriend in real life. He engages them and quickly kills the wives. Enraged, Verignis attacks but is no match. Diablo kills him while declaring himself the true demon lord. With the battle won, Faunis holds a feast in celebration. On the way to the feast, Horn is intercepted by bullies who beat her up and ridicule her and her friends, saying they don't believe Diablo actually saved the city. Diablo rescues her and beats up the bullies. As he carries the injured Horn, she laments that she is so weak, but he says that is okay and she can stay with his group. Diablo wonders how he can start to do it with Faunis, but Faunis took in charge, and she began to massage him, and the trains hit the rail. Faunis entertained Diablo in a way that he didn't want to leave Zircon City. In the morning, she gave him a 2-minute noodle, and he heads out with his crew. Horn told the team that they are heading to the royal capital as soon as everyone is ready. Diablo comments that they must first look for a carriage. Rem comments that she make arrangements for that. Lumikina arrives and comments that she is also heading to the royal capital. She reveals that she is yearning to visit the people of the church. Rem reminds her that she is being targeted by the cardinals who control the church. Rem thinks that the priest here might turn out to be an enemy. Lumikina is worried that the battle against the fallen has left many people injured, and she wants to heal them. Shiro agrees with Lumikina and volunteers to show Lumikina the way to the church. A hero of the town appears and comments that if a woman needs to be protected, they can leave it to him. The guy reveals that he is Emil Bichelberger, who is an ally to all women and an ally to allies of women. Lumikina accepted Emil's offer, but another lady appears. The lady told Emil that he couldn't take a quest in the middle of another quest. The lady is revealed to be the guildmaster. Emil replies that he is protecting women, and it is the highest priority. She reminds Emil that he is in the middle of sword training. Rem realizes that she knows this lady and calls her Sylvie. Sylvie welcomes them, and she seems to know all members of Diablo's crew. She comments that Diablo is always surrounded by women. Diablo replies that there is a reason for that. They both head to the bakery and enjoy eating snacks. Later Diablo fights with the goons that come from the Mismos family. A mysterious lady appeared and wanted to kill the goons for defying the demon lord. Diablo decides to punish the goons with an attack called Explosion. After pulverizing the goons, they got arrested and wonders what kind of magic the demon lord possesses. They enter the castle looking for Mismos, and the mighty punk told them first to beat him, and he will tell them where the boss is. The punk got defeated after being kicked by a lady below his belt. They met with Mismos and enjoyed eating cookies after giving some explanation. They told Diablo to visit again and Celestine Baudelaire. The group arrives at the royal capital 7 Wall, and are accosted by guards. But Alicia Christella arrives and dismisses the guards, then lets them into an inn she owns. Rose becomes jealous, but relents when Alicia says she would willingly die for Diablo. As they eat, Horn says she wants to be stronger. Rose presents a slave collar and says if Horn wears it and makes a master-servant contract with Diablo, his power will flow into her. But Rem and Shira warn that if Diablo dies, she will die, plus other demerits of wearing a collar, so she refuses. After explaining to Alicia what is going on, she agrees to investigate the head cardinal, Vishos, but warns that the law cannot touch the church. That night, Rose asks Diablo to recharge her magical energy, and he is embarrassed when this involves touching her intimately. The next day, Alicia presents evidence that Vishos and his followers have embezzled funds from the church and have murdered several people. Alicia wants Diablo to destroy the church, but Lumikina insists on presenting the evidence so she can excommunicate Vishos and his followers. The group bids Alicia goodbye and goes to the city's holy ground, finding a ground-based church and a massive floating church in the sky. When Vishos appears, Lumikina denounces his crimes and orders him excommunicated, but he counters by accusing her of lying and of neglecting her duties and orders the group seized. His guards and the worshippers believe him and attack the group. Horn gives in to fear, manages to escape, and runs away. Lumikina asks the group not to fight as blood cannot be spilled on holy ground, so they surrender and are transported via a levitating platform to the floating church. Lumikina is separated from the others and sentenced to execution. Diablo orders the others not to escape because Lumikina asked them not to. Horn inadvertently activates a holy grail she took from Diablo's dungeon and a tiny fairy-like girl named Babylon appears. She explains she appears to those who offer blood to the grail and an embarrassed Horn remembers urinating in it and decides not to tell her. Babylon offers to make Horn stronger, but her spell doesn't work. With little options, Horn puts on the collar. Babylon helps instruct her on her new powers like bewitching men to fall in love with her as they infiltrate the floating church. Just as she reaches the group's cell, a paladin attacks and injures her. Enraged, Diablo breaks down the door. Horn is disappointed that they could have escaped on their own and so she tied her life to Diablo's for nothing. But Diablo thanks her for snapping him out of his foolishness in obeying Lumikina. As he is a demon lord and obeys no one, he gives Horn a healing potion, then defeats the paladin after a little difficulty. Diablo flies outside and bombards the church with lightning while demanding Lumikina. When she is presented by guards, he sentences the worshippers to death. His plan being that Lumikina will rebuke him to save them and then he will pretend to fall to make Lumikina a hero. His plan goes awry when Lumikina agrees with God to smite everyone, believing the worthy will go to heaven. Suddenly, Vishos unleashes a giant monster called Europa. Vishos merges with Europa and boasts that he is a god, then starts smashing the church while trying to kill Lumikina. Diablo learns he is protected by a force field, so he asks Lumikina to cast a spell to destroy the force field, but must protect her as it takes a long time to cast. Rose tries to help, but Vishos destroys her arm. Lumikina casts the spell, but Vishos resists it until the worshippers pray for her, empowering her and allowing the spell to work. With the force field gone, Diablo easily vaporizes Europa and Vishos, but to his chagrin, the worshippers start calling him God. Rem investigates the inside of the church and discovers that Gewalt, out of gratitude for Lumikina healing him, has resigned from the paladins and killed Vishos' guards, then presents the key to the cell of Lumikina's friend Tria so they can free her. Lumikina decides to stay and repair both the church and its reputation, aware she must also investigate Vishos' connections. Diablo finally convinces Lumikina that he is not God, but she is grateful for his help nonetheless. Horn and Babylon decide to stay in Seven Walls so Horn can study magic, and Alicia takes them in. Rose is repaired and the group returns to Faltra. When Fanis learns what Diablo has done, she decides to visit Faltra to try to seduce him again. Shira brings up the ring she took from Diablo's dungeon and he is embarrassed when Rose points out it signifies marriage. Rem becomes jealous, so he says they will go on a quest to find another ring for her. And this brings the anime to an end. Comment for part 5. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time.